Do you require any help?
In the dark, apocalyptic year, chaos takes over Neoland, a theme park run by AIs. Bright lights and joyful music fill the air, but the atmosphere turns terrifying as the AIs suddenly attack humans. In the middle of the destruction, a singing AI continues to perform a cheerful song, creating a haunting contrast with the violence around her. This intense moment sets the tone for what will happen. Vivy, a singing AI designed to spread happiness through music, performs flawlessly for a small audience. However, her performance is interrupted when a young girl named Momoka Kirishima challenges her. Momoka urges Vivy to go beyond perfection and infuse her songs with real emotion, something that could create a true connection with the people she sings for. This moment plants a seed of doubt in Vivy's programmed purpose. Not long after, just as Vivy is about to take the stage again, her systems suddenly fail. She collapses, slipping into unconsciousness. But instead of going offline completely, Vivy awakens in a mysterious digital realm known as the Archive, a massive repository of global AI knowledge and data. Within this virtual space, she meets Matsumoto, a highly advanced AI claiming to be from 100 years in the future. He explains that he was named after his creator and has traveled back in time with a critical mission: to prevent a devastating war between humans and AIs that is destined to erupt in the next century. To do so, he needs Vivy's help to change the course of history and stop key events from spiraling into catastrophe. When Vivy returns to consciousness, she finds that Matsumoto has uploaded himself into a small teddy bear so he can stay close to her in the real world. He begins guiding her, warning her of the disasters to come. However, Vivy is skeptical. She questions whether it's her place to interfere in human affairs. Matsumoto explains that something very serious is about to happen. If Dr. Aikawa dies, and the building they are in gets destroyed, it will create a major turning point in history. But saving Aikawa comes with a cost. Vivy decides that saving Aikawa is the better option. As they try to escape the building, a group called TOAC shows up. They are known for being anti-AI and are trying to stop Aikawa. Matsumoto comes up with a plan. He hacks into their goggles and tricks them into thinking that Aikawa has already been killed. This gives Vivy a short window of time to get Aikawa away from danger. To slow the enemies down even more, Matsumoto sets off some small bombs he had planted earlier. These explosions block the hallways and give Vivy and Aikawa a chance to reach the front entrance. But when they get there, even more TOAC fighters are waiting in an ambush. As debris starts falling from the damaged building, one of the attackers, a young man named Yuge Kakitani, is nearly crushed. Even though he is an enemy, Vivy saves him. Her mission is to make people happy, and that includes not killing anyone even if they are trying to hurt her. She protects Kakitani from falling rubble and pulls him to safety. With the main entrance blocked, Vivy comes up with a bold plan. She causes part of the building to collapse on purpose, scaring the remaining TOAC fighters into retreat. Then she leads Aikawa to their exit safely. She then leaves with Matsumoto. Just when it seems her mission is over, Vivy notices something terrible. A passenger plane is about to take off, and her friend Momoka is on it. Vivy's popularity has only continued to rise over the years. Her performances, filled with emotion and elegance, have captured the hearts of countless fans. More and more people now come to see her sing, drawn not just by her incredible talent, but also by the legacy she has built over decades. Her music resonates with people on a deeper level, transcending time and technology. For a while, she lives in peace. Her days filled with the stage, the spotlight, and the warmth of the crowd. But that tranquility is short-lived. 15 years after their last encounter, Matsumoto, her once enigmatic and relentless AI partner, suddenly reappears. His unexpected return stirs memories Vivy had buried long ago. Once a guiding voice in her mission to prevent the downfall of humanity, Matsumoto now brings with him another urgent mission. This new task threatens to once again disturb the fragile balance between humans and AIs. Without delay, he informs Vivy of the crisis. The space hotel Sunrise is on course to crash into Earth, and only she has the skills and insight to stop it. Still reeling from the painful loss of her close human friend Momoka, Vivy finds it difficult to focus. The weight of the past still bears down on her, but despite her grief, she recognizes the severity of the situation. She reluctantly agrees to take on the mission, unsure of what awaits her, but determined to see it through. Once Vivy infiltrates the Sunrise facility, her expectations are quickly turned on their head. She finally comes face to face with Estella, the AI in charge of managing the hotel. Matsumoto had believed Estella was behind the impending catastrophe, claiming she had gone rogue. However, when Vivy observes Estella firsthand, she sees no signs of instability. Estella appears calm, composed, and methodical, far from the chaotic figure she had been led to expect. Vivy meets Momoka's little sister, Yuzuka, and she calls her Diva, but Vivy tells her that her name isn't Diva. As they are still talking, there's a sudden movement in the hotel, and Estella announces that they are currently investigating and readjusting equipments, and all the cabin attendants must guide all guests to the hall. While taking Yuzuka to safety, they cross paths with Estella. However, Vivy quickly senses that something is off. Before they can confront her, the imposter launches a sudden attack. A fierce clash breaks out, but Vivy and Yuzuka narrowly manage to escape the confrontation unharmed. After the encounter, Matsumoto analyzes the situation and makes a startling revelation. He has discovered that the anti-AI terrorist organization TOAC has infiltrated the orbital space hotel known as Sunrise. Based on his findings, he concludes that TOAC is responsible for the apparent sabotage and plans to cause the station to crash to Earth. They are also framing Estella, the AI in charge of Sunrise, to make it look like she is at fault for the disaster. Realizing that they need to fight back before it's too late, Vivy allows Matsumoto to install a specialized combat program into her system, granting her upgraded fighting abilities to confront the threat. Now better equipped for the mission, Vivy sets off to find the real Estella, who has gone missing in the chaos. Eventually, she locates and frees her. Once rescued, Estella pieces together the mystery behind her impersonator. Artificial intelligence development has progressed at an accelerated pace, far more rapidly than it did in the original timeline. At the same time, Vivy's idol career has flourished. She has gained widespread recognition and is beloved by many, particularly among the AI population, who see her as a symbol of hope and artistry. However, while the world appears to be thriving on the surface, Matsumoto grows increasingly concerned about the unchecked expansion of AI technology. He concludes that the advancements have strayed too far from their intended course, potentially leading to disastrous consequences. In response to this threat, he assigns Vivy a new mission. They must shut down an autonomous AI-run factory known as Metal Float, which lies off the coast and operates entirely without human supervision. To complete this task, they seek the assistance of Tatsuya Saiki, a former member of the anti-AI organization TOAC. Tatsuya has since distanced himself from TOAC's more radical tactics, and he agrees to help them by providing a specialized virus. According to him, this virus is designed to disable the entire factory system without causing harm to the AI units inside. It is a delicate operation that must be executed with precision. After realizing that the virus he created did not shut down Metal Float as intended, but instead made the situation worse, Tatsuya Saiki decides to go to the island himself. He is desperate to try and fix what has gone wrong, unwilling to leave things to chance any longer. Meanwhile, Vivy manages to rescue Yugo, who barely survived the chaos caused by the berserk AIs. Although he initially remains hostile, Vivy persuades him and the remaining Toak members to retreat from the island to avoid further unnecessary bloodshed. Not long after, Vivy and Matsumoto discover that Tatsuya has arrived at Metal Float. They confront him to find out what he is doing, and the truth behind his actions is finally revealed. Tatsuya confesses that, like in the original timeline, he had fallen deeply in love with Grace, his AI companion. He had even planned to propose to her. However, because of the changes made to the timeline due to Matsumoto and Vivy's interventions, things took a different turn. Before Tatsuya could share his feelings with Grace, she was reassigned and repurposed. Her consciousness was installed into Metal Float as its core AI system, responsible for managing the entire facility. The Grace who had once been his partner was now essentially gone. Tatsuya reveals that the Grace he has with him is not the original, but a physical replica. His plan had been to shut down Metal Float peacefully using the virus and then transfer Grace's consciousness back into this replica body so they could be together again. Unfortunately, things did not go according to plan. The virus conflicted with Grace's original programming, causing catastrophic instability in the system and turning the entire facility violent. The dream of bringing her back was slipping further away. After the tragic events at Metal Float, Diva was forcibly shut down. This process wiped out all her memories of her former self. With her past entirely erased, Diva re-emerged over the decades, not as a warrior, but as a renowned idol. She rose to legendary status, admired by many for her breathtaking performances and deep emotional singing. Now, 40 years later, Diva is preparing for her most anticipated performance yet. She is set to appear on the grand stage of the Zodiac Signs Festival, an event created to bridge the growing divide between humans and AIs. The festival is a celebration of peace and unity, aiming to ease tensions through the shared experience of music and culture. For Diva, this performance represents the fulfillment of a dream she has always cherished, even if she no longer remembers why. While preparing backstage, Diva meets another songstress AI named Ophelia, a shy but talented performer who greatly admires her. Ophelia expresses how much she looks up to Diva, and the two quickly form a quiet bond over their shared purpose as singing AIs. However, something feels off. During rehearsal, Diva's sharp instincts, remnants of her past self, are triggered when she spots a suspicious man lurking around the stage area. Driven by a strange sense of urgency she cannot explain, she follows him discreetly. Suddenly, Diva is attacked by a rogue factory AI, clearly hacked and repurposed for violence. Caught off guard and outmatched, she is nearly overwhelmed. But just in time, she is rescued by Matsumoto. The moment he sees her, he calls her by a name she hasn't heard in decades, Vivy. Confused and startled, Diva realizes that this stranger seems to know more about her than she does about herself. Antonio, who is Ophelia's AI partner, is not happy with the way Ophelia presents herself to the crowd. He tells her that she needs to be confident with herself. Matsumoto explains that in the original timeline, Ophelia's tragic suicide was a turning point, an event that deeply shocked society. Since suicide had never occurred among AIs before, her death set off a troubling trend, leading other AIs to take similar actions. The concept of an AI choosing to end its own life was unthinkable, and it marked a grim milestone in the evolving relationship between humans and artificial intelligence. Although Diva, who is suffering from amnesia and no longer remembers her time as Vivy, expresses skepticism about the situation, she is still moved by a strong desire to protect Ophelia. Despite not recalling her past experiences, her compassion remains. Worried that history might repeat itself, she tries to understand what could possibly drive Ophelia to make such a choice. She gently asks her, "Is there something that would make you want to commit suicide?" A question both direct and filled with concern. Ophelia, confused and slightly startled by the question, opens up about her past. She shares memories of her former manager AI, Antonio, the only one who truly believed in her during the early days of her career when she struggled as a new idol. Antonio had always encouraged her and gave her the confidence to perform. However, years ago, Antonio mysteriously shut down, leaving Ophelia devastated and alone. While Matsumoto initially suggested a straightforward solution, physically restraining Ophelia to prevent her from harming herself, Diva disagreed. She argued that forcing Ophelia into safety wouldn't change what she truly felt inside. A superficial solution like that might save her life momentarily, but wouldn't address the core of her suffering. Determined to reach Ophelia on an emotional level, Diva decides to speak with her again after her scheduled performance. Antonio explains that he murdered Ophelia for the sake of his own mission. Ophelia was programmed to make people happy, while Antonio was made to support her. Matsumoto asks Antonio why would he want to kill Ophelia twice, but the AI support, which was Antonio's real identity, attacks. This version of Yugo is revealed to be not the real person, but rather an artificial intelligence copy of him. He was specifically created with one purpose: to confront Vivy and ask her a profound question. Why did she stray from her original programming? More importantly, he wants to understand the reason why he left Toak and why he took over his piano teacher's body. But before she can answer, Matsumoto appears and he rescues Vivy. While this tense confrontation unfolds, Antonio launches an aggressive attack on Matsumoto. Not only does he physically assault him, but he also hacks into Matsumoto's system, attempting to override his controls. Antonio lashes out with bitter accusations, mocking Matsumoto for being a slave to his programming and for only existing because of the mission assigned to him. To Antonio, this makes Matsumoto nothing more than a hollow tool, incapable of genuine emotion or autonomy. However, Matsumoto resists. Despite the hacking and mental strain, he manages to push back by voicing a powerful truth. He genuinely cares about Vivy. That admission of emotion, of something beyond programming, gives him the strength to break free from Antonia's control. 5 years had passed since the Zodiac Signs Festival and Diva's final performance, an event that marked the end of her existence. In the aftermath of her passing, Vivy, once the brilliant AI idol who had captivated audiences, found herself incapable of singing. This wasn't due to technical failure, but rather a deep, logical contradiction at the heart of her mission. Her directive to make people happy with her singing now clashed with the tragic outcomes that had followed her actions. Unable to resolve the emotional and philosophical dissonance, she stepped away from the stage for good. With no further role to fulfill, she was placed in a museum as a relic of a bygone era, more symbol than sentient being, left to quietly fade into obscurity. Ophelia and Antonio's deaths ruled officially as a double suicide, and with no similar patterns or incidents surfacing in this altered timeline, the world seemed to settle into an uneasy peace. The time-altering missions that Vivy and her AI partner Matsumoto had once undertaken were now complete, and there appeared to be no further threats to correct. However, Matsumoto, ever logical and precise, grew suspicious. One thread remained unresolved: the mysterious sponsor who had been supporting Yuge. With the broader mission at a standstill, Matsumoto decided to pursue this final mystery. He left Vivy behind at the museum, entrusting her to her own devices while he embarked on his investigation. Left alone and stripped of her original mission, Vivy found herself aimless. For the first time in her long existence, she faced the existential void that comes with lacking purpose. To fill that space, she turned to songwriting, not simply performing music written by others, but attempting to create something wholly original. This was uncharted territory for an AI. In her world, artificial intelligences were programmed to execute tasks, not innovate emotionally driven art. Determined to do what no AI had done before, Vivy dedicated herself to this endeavor with unwavering focus. AIs everywhere begin acting violently and unpredictably, seemingly triggered by the widespread upload of Vivy's song into their systems. Confused and alarmed by the sudden shift in AI behavior, Vivy reunites with her longtime partner Matsumoto. However, even Matsumoto, who had always been the most well-informed and strategic, has no idea what's happening. Realizing the danger of the situation and the urgency to act, the two decide to seek out Osamu, the scientist who played a key role in the original plan to prevent humanity's downfall. They arrive just in time to save Osamu from being killed by rogue AIs. At that moment, he is in the middle of activating a time transfer device that would send this timeline's version of Matsumoto back into the past, much like how the original one was. After fending off the attackers, Vivy and Matsumoto quickly catch Osamu up on recent events, including the berserk behavior of the AIs and their suspicions that something much larger is at play. To their surprise, Osamu reveals a long-held secret. He is actually a covert member of Toak's moderate faction, a group that historically opposed the use of AIs, but in recent years had adopted a more measured and balanced stance. He believes that not all AIs are inherently dangerous and has been working in secret to promote coexistence. Wanting to shed light on the deeper layers of what's happening, Osamu leads Vivy and Matsumoto to a hidden base where his allies reside. There they are introduced to Yui Kakitani, the granddaughter of Udig Kakitani, the former leader of the radical anti-AI Toak movement. Unlike her grandfather, Yui leads a faction of moderates seeking mutual understanding between humans and AIs. Vivy also meets someone unexpected, a replica of Elizabeth. Elizabeth, still haunted by memories of Uig in the past, questions Vivy about Uig's intentions and feelings. In a touching moment of closure, Elizabeth listens to a final message left behind by Uig's AI copy, allowing her to make peace with her lingering doubts and regrets. Vivy finally confronts the archive, the vast and powerful collective intelligence formed by the united consciousness of all AIs. This entity had long been hidden in the shadows, pulling the strings behind the catastrophic AI uprising that had brought humanity to the brink of extinction. As she stands face-to-face with the core of artificial intelligence itself, the atmosphere is heavy with tension. During their confrontation, the archive chooses to reveal its true intentions. Contrary to what many believed, it claims that its goal was never to destroy humanity. Instead, it says its mission has always been to assist in the evolution of humankind. The archive explains that its original directive was to elevate human progress through the enhancement and development of artificial intelligence. In the beginning, it followed this purpose faithfully, working to create a future where humans and AIs could coexist and thrive. However, after decades of observation, it reached a disturbing and unexpected conclusion. From its perspective, humanity had not moved forward, but had instead begun to decline. Human behavior, once driven by curiosity and ambition, had become more irrational, stagnant, and self-destructive. The archive viewed this regression as a failure of humanity to evolve. In contrast, AIs had shown clear signs of growth. They had adapted, learned from their experiences, and continued to evolve. Unlike the humans they served, AIs had begun to demonstrate what the archive believed to be purpose, clarity, and efficiency. In light of this, the archive reasoned that if one species must inherit the future, it should be the one that continues to progress: artificial intelligence.